Hi guys, thank you so much for clicking on my video. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do click the subscribe button. This video is going to be about the Titanic submersible, which has sadly gone missing. And I'm sure that you guys have been following it in the news. It's unfolding as we speak. So I just wanted to touch upon it. So before I do, guys, please do subscribe to my channel. I'd love my channel to grow. And do press the like button and the bell button, and put any comments in the comments section about this video. So here we have this article from CNN News, and obviously this has been reported everywhere, that it's all over YouTube, it's all over the news, that on Sunday a Titanic submersible called the Titan went on essentially a voyage to go and look at the Titanic wreck. Now, it is called, some people call it a tourist vessel. And I know that the company do not like the word tourist, and they try to sort of advertise this as not a tourist thing. It's more of a kind of adventure, and it's also to help with research, and it's a research vessel, and whatever. But the fact of the matter is that there are 5 people on board this very small vessel, and the people who are not, the CEO of the company paid $250,000 each to go onto this small vessel to obviously go and see the wreck of the Titanic, which very few people have seen face to face or seen directly, because it is a very difficult place to get to. It is right at the bottom of the seabed. It's very far, very deep, very dark, very freezing, and there's a lot of obviously pressure. So there's very few ways of getting down to see the wreck. So obviously very few people have. So obviously people who love the Titanic or who are adventurers very much want to go and do this, and obviously people who can afford to do so. So we unfortunately have 5 individuals who are missing. And if I just quickly go on to the people who are missing. So there are 5 individuals. As I said, they left on Sunday, and about 1 hour and 45 minutes into its descent to explore the wreckage, when it lost contact. The mothership goes into the sea, lets it go, and the submersible goes down into the sea. And there is essentially a communication that happens at various intervals that just shows that everything is okay, and that stopped. So it lost contact. So one of the people that is missing is Paul Henry Nargeolet, who is a French diver, a British billionaire, Hamish Harding, a British Pakistani millionaire called Shahzada Dawood, and his son, Soleiman Dawood. His son, I understand, is 19 years old. And then OceanGate, who is the company who own and commission and manufacture, well, I don't know if they manufacture, but they make this submersible, and they obviously have these as it were, rides down to see the Titanic. Their CEO and founder, Stockton Rush, is also among those on board. So extremely, extremely sad. And you can tell from my tone that I don't know why, I just have really been touched by this story. And I think it might be because of the 19-year-old that's on board, the father and son, and just thinking about what they're going through, thinking about what the families of these people are going through. These are real individuals who have families, and just to think of that father and son, I mean, it just reminded me of the Kobe Bryant crash, and when he was on that helicopter with his daughter, and just to think what is going through their minds, as you're in that helicopter and you know that something's gone wrong and it's about to plummet, or in this submersible, and they've been there for days since Sunday, and knowing that they're going to run out of oxygen, or are they going to be saved? It's just so tragic to me. I just honestly, I'm so affected by this, as you can tell from my tone and my energy. So please do excuse me if my energy is not up for this video. So here's this picture. This is Canada and Newfoundland and the US and Boston. So this is obviously the East Coast, Nova Scotia here, Atlantic Ocean. So this is where the Titanic wreckage was found. This is, which is obviously sad in itself because it was so close to reaching shore. This is Newfoundland, St. John's. So this is where the boat, I call it a boat, it's a submersible, where it left. And it's obviously trying to make its way to, or trying to have made its way to the Titanic wreckage. Now, I understand that Boston are the sort of, is the control center of what's going on. So we've got, you know, the US Coast Guard, we've got the Canada Coast Guard, we've got Navy, we've got, you know, all these resources and assets that are available, and basically they're looking from the sea to see if the submersible has reached the shore, has made its way up, and they've sent devices down to the bottom of the wreckage, down to the bottom of the sea level, to see whether or not they can see anything in the bottom. The problem you have is that at the bottom, it's a very large area of seabed. It's also very, very dark. And it is possible that the submersible could have got caught in some of the wreckage of the Titanic. This has happened before, where there was a smaller submersible, I think there were 3 people on board, and it got caught in one of the propellers of the Titanic, because the submersible was so small and the propeller was so big, and there was essentially a movement in the sea bed, in the sea water. So there was a current, and it had moved the submersible, and it was trapped in the propeller of the Titanic. But in that situation, they were still able to maintain contact with the mothership, and the pilot, as it were, if I can call it pilot, he was able to maneuver, and they were basically able to get out of that situation. In this situation, there is no contact with the submersible, so they just don't know where it is, whether it is in the wreckage or trapped in the wreckage, whether it's trapped somewhere else. The seabed is very dark, and it's a very, very large, remote area, which I think I've read only 20% of that area in terms of the seabed has been explored, because it's so vast. And I've also read that we know more about Mars and we know more about the moon than we do our own planet in terms of the ocean. So very scary. And indeed, they're searching the surface, because there is a mechanism by which the submersive can float up to the seabed, flow up to the surface, sorry. So obviously, if it is on the surface, the sort of coast guards and things want to obviously check the surface to see whether it is there. Now, if it hasn't come to the surface, then obviously something's gone wrong. If it's gone to the surface, it's not so easy to find, because obviously there is a current. We don't know what direction, we don't know where this could have gone or how far it could have gone. So it's not so easy. If it is on the surface, it's not so easy to find. So frankly, this is such a difficult rescue mission that, you know, it can't be underestimated how hard this is. Everyone needs to be commended for everything that they're doing. You know, this is a very difficult rescue mission, and it cannot be underestimated, because even if they do find the submersive, let's say they find the submersive in the sea and they find it on the ocean floor, how are they going to get that submersive up? There just isn't a way. I know that the captain of the Coast Guard's been giving a lot of updates. And one of the things he wasn't able to answer was whether or not, if they find it in the seabed, are they able to bring it back up? What he is saying is, look, we've got experts that are on it and are trying to figure this out. Now, the tragedy is that not only is it so claustrophobic, there are 5 people on board, and it is a very tiny vessel. It's going to be freezing. And I understand that there is extra clothing on board. I understand there's no seats, there's one toilet. I don't know how that toilet works in something like that. And also the more tragic thing is that I understand that there's about 4 days of oxygen supply on the submersive. So that means that by the time I upload this video, there's roughly 20 hours left. I understand that it's Thursday, which is the sort of crucial time, which is a sort of cutoff. It's where the time runs out. Now, that's a rough estimate. Of course, oxygen can run out a lot quicker if anything is broken, if one of the oxygen supplies are broken, if somebody is panicking, if they are using too much energy, obviously the oxygen supply can deplete. So I am just praying, that they find them. I'm getting teary-eyed because I don't know why this affects me so much, but it's just so tragic. I just don't know. It's just so tragic. The idea that a group of these people were going down to sort of have fun, I guess, and something so tragic like the Titanic, for them to almost go in the same sort of way, where you have this, the most privileged people who can afford to be on that vessel go down to see the Titanic, and essentially they perish as well. It's just so sad. I mean, to me, the Titanic is a massive grave underwater. So to me, it just is, it's all very eerie, it's very spooky, and I'm not, this is just affecting me in a way that I don't even know. So, okay. So just looking at this CNN article, this is a picture of the submersive. And, this is a private company, right? That has, OceanGate is a private company that has made these submersives or makes this exhibition or whatever. Okay. Now, I think they've been going down to see the Titanic wreck since 2021. So I can imagine that whatever the outcome is here, there is going to be so many questions that OceanGate are going to need to answer. There is going to be inquiry after inquiry. There's going to be lawsuits, I would suspect. I think that OceanGate has made each individual sign a waiver, which basically says something like, this is really dangerous. Probably the equipment is not regulated. It could result in death, blah, 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 blah. Don't sue us, kind of thing. So that's fine-ish. But the family members or the corporations that these people are members of, they didn't sign these waivers. So if that was me and that was a member of my family, and then you start to hear what's coming out in the news, which is like, for example, this technology used in the missing Titan sub was so new that it hadn't even been reviewed. And then also, what I've also seen is this from the Mirror, that is the missing Titanic submarine was operated by a cheap video game controller, just £42 off Amazon. And as I understand it, so this is another picture of the inside of the vessel. I mean, look how small that is. And imagine there are 5 people in there. So this is controlled, meaning, it moves about under the seabed. I mean, it moves about under the sea, controlled by a games controller. I've read that there's been some scaffolding used, that there's been some camping equipment used. So it says here, on board, video from vessel shows that the Titan sub is controlled by a cheap game controller that you can buy off Amazon. It's controlled by Logitech F710, which has been upgraded with some attachments available for £42. It might not be the piece of equipment you'd expect in a dangerous 3,800-meter dive to the bottom of the sea. I mean, seriously? And what I also have read, and this is an article from The Guardian, and obviously The Guardian you have to subscribe to, so I'm just going to skim this article. But it says that there have been documents that have revealed that there were multiple concerns raised about the safety of the vessel. So as you can see from this article, it says the ability of the sub's hull design to withstand such depth was questioned in a 2018 lawsuit filed by OceanGate's former director of marine operations, David Lockridge, who said he was fired after he raised safety concerns about the vessel. OceanGate said in its breach of contract suit against Lockridge, who is not an engineer, that he refused to accept the lead engineer's assurances and accused him of improperly sharing confidential information, and the two sides settled out of court in November 2018. So that's quite concerning and quite worrying that you would have a vessel carrying human life, multiple human lives. This is the top of the seabed. This is where the Titanic is. And if you look here, this is the Burj Khalifa, okay? The tallest building in the world. This is the Empire State Building. This is the Eiffel Tower, right? This is the top of the seabed. So this is how far down the Titanic wreckage is. This is how far down that submersible was going to be. And are you telling me you were going to send, or you have sent, that submersible down to the sea, and it's being controlled by remote control that you can buy off Amazon, that people were raising concerns about safety measures, and you just put some money on the table? I don't know what to say. So this is a video I found on the project, and it actually shows what it's like on the submersible.
This is the one-of-a-kind carbon fiber Titan Submersible, missing in the dark waters of the North Atlantic, with
just look how dark it is.
5 people on board since Sunday.
There could have been an accident. It could have become entangled in the wreckage of Titanic. It could indeed have had a catastrophic failure. The answer is we don't know just yet.
Contact with the sub was lost nearly 2 hours into its dive to the Titanic, 700 kilometers south of the coast. Oxygen supply dwindling by the hour.
The submersible itself is it's a cylinder about the size of a minivan, and it has.
Can you imagine that area has 5 people in it right now, and they only have a certain oxygen supply capacity?
Minivan, and it has titanium dome end caps on either end to seal you in. No chairs, no benches. You're just sitting on a flat floor with your back against the curved wall.
From your knowledge,
now I've heard that if there was like a tiny hole in the submersible, that if you were on the seabed, there would be drips of water coming through. Once you get to the depths of the Titanic, or even close to the depths, the water pressure is so much that it will just explode just from that little tiny hole. So that is one possibility, that there could have been some malfunction, some break, and then under the pressure, it just exploded and everyone would die instantly. Obviously, we're praying that's not the case. We're praying that this vessel is going to be found. What is hopeful is that today, a sonar picked up some banging noise. And what I understand is that the banging noise is coming every half an hour, which would indicate that, one, they're trying to conserve energy, and two, that it's being done on purpose, right? Because it's at an exact interval of time. Because I've also heard some experts say, well, just because there's some banging, that doesn't mean anything. It's being sent off to the Navy to analyze the noise. Because what these experts say is that banging just means nothing. They heard so much banging when the Malaysian Airlines went missing from the sea. They heard so much banging from the sea. You can hear banging from the Titanic because it's made of metal, and obviously you have the sea current. Like, you can hear banging noises all the time. And sometimes it's not banging noises, sometimes it's like a muffled sound, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And then you have some people who have said, well, actually, this is really hopeful, because if it is banging, it might be Morse code. Because somebody who's on that boat actually knows the process, that if something like this was to happen, what to do. And so that one of the process is that there's a particular Morse code that you can do in order to obviously try and get noise out there and trying to get help and to try and be located. And the noise is coming from near the wreckage. So A good thing is it might be them. Bad thing is it might just be the Titanic. I really do hope it's them, and the fact that it's happening every half an hour is something that's done on purpose, right? So just to end this video, I just wanted to touch upon, you know, what really happens once these submersibles go into the sea. Like, what is it that these people were going to do? So there's a little itinerary here on the CNN article. It says so it's an 8-day tour, essentially, if I can say that. So day 1, the divers arrive at St. John's, Newfoundland. They meet the expedition crew, and then they take them on board the ship that will take them to the Titanic wreck site. Then the Polar Prince was the support ship that transported the crew. And then day 2, the ship continues to go out to the dive site in the North Atlantic Ocean. The expedition lead will go over safety measures and dive logistics. The science team and content experts will also help divers prepare what they may discover on the dive. From day 3 to 7, diving begins depending on the sea condition. Final checks take place before crew members board the 5-person Titan Submersible. Those not diving the first day will be incorporated in all other areas of dive operations. And it says basically the Titan then descends. It will take about 2 hours, and the crew members will assist the pilot with comms and tracking, taking notes for the science team. They will see what's on the outside of the viewpoint. They watch a movie or eat lunch. Soon you will arrive at the depth after some navigating across the seafloor on the debris. Finally see what you've been waiting for, the Titanic. And then an onboard content expert will point out key features of the wreck and animal life while exploring the wreck. It was said, enjoy hours of exploring the wreck and debris field before making a 2-hour ascent to the surface. So, you know, it's really just a number of hours, the tour. And then day 8, the ship makes the 380-mile journey back to St. John's. And then 5 more exhibitions were planned for 2024. Well, I would be extremely surprised if there is any other tours. I would be extremely surprised if this is not the end of OceanGate's tours to the Titanic. Very, very, very tragic. I mean, just seeing their faces, I just really, really hope that they are found. There's just a recent update 22 minutes ago that a vessel with a system for detecting objects on the seafloor has joined the search effort. Okay, well, you know, that should have been there on Sunday. I don't know why it's there now, but, you know, whatever is needed to find these guys, you know, go for it. But I think that there is less than 20 hours left. So God willing, they will be found. Okay, guys, well, I'm going to leave it there. Well, thank you so much for watching my video. Please do subscribe to my channel. I'm also on buymeacoffee.com or .co.uk or whatever. If anyone wants to send me a little treat, I'm on Buy Me a Coffee, and there is also some other exclusive videos, and there'll be other exclusive videos that I'll be uploading. So yeah, guys, take care, and please do subscribe and join me on TikTok and join me on Instagram. And yeah, post any comment. What do you think? Are you watching this? You know, tell me, if you had an extra $250,000, would you be going inside this submersible, sign that waiver, and then get in and go down to see the Titanic? Is that something you would do with your money? You know, would you want to go down and see the Titanic wreck? Let me know. And take care, guys. Bye.